Good morning and welcome to Cityline. Happy Lunar New Year, as happened since I was with you last. We have a great hour ahead of us. Later on, put the glasses on, Amanda, we'll be talking with the American Cancer Society about how the pandemic was for them, what are they doing to get back to some of the events that they are known for. We love the American Cancer Society. Tacoma Refugee Choir will be here. Erin is in the house, and she brought with her an amazing individual who you will love to listen to. And also another Miss Erin is in the house, and the Miss Erin from Tacoma City Ballet, Erin Saragioli. Chef's kiss. She is in the house and she's going to talk about Carmina Burana, and she also brought a guest. And with me right now is somebody that if you watch TV Tacoma or if you happen to jump into a city council meeting, you will see his very kind face. I'm talking about Council Member Joe Bushnell and City Council of District 5. Welcome back.
Thank you. So glad back to be here.
Okay, so let's just get it out. Congratulations, you got married.
I did, yeah, just last month.
Yes.
I took a little trip to Cambodia.
A little.
Yeah, a little trip, and had a great time. I got a nice ring here, if anybody can see that. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I have a beautiful bride.
You do.
Yeah, I can't wait for her to get over here. We're still waiting a few more months, but once she's here, you know, I'm really excited to show her all the great things that we have going on here.
Oh, wait until she sees the mountain. And the glow on your face is just so newlywed. I love this. So before we get into some hard questions, I want to establish what are the general boundaries of District 5 so people understand where all of your goodness radiates.
Yeah, so if people aren't sure where District 5 is, it encompasses South Tacoma, the south end, a little bit of east side. Basically, you draw a line from 56th Street down to McKinley, and it's like a big box all the way to the city limits to the south. So that encompasses District 5.
Outstanding. So I know there are many challenges and there are many opportunities facing you in District 5. I want to take you back to a couple of months ago when I was watching the City Council meeting. And it was the camping ban ordinance that our council members and our mayor were voting on and discussing. It was one of the finer moments I have ever seen in that council chamber because all of you had a look of understanding, transparency, deep empathy, understanding how painful it is to even talk about the unhoused problem here in Tacoma. How did it feel for you to sit in on that vote, and what was it like the month leading up to it when you were really discussing hard stuff in those study sessions?
Yeah, it was very difficult leading up to that. Even now, it's still difficult to even talk about it. I recognize that and at the time that this would literally impact the lives of the people that, you know, are on the street. And, you know, I could barely sleep up to the vote. And, you know, thinking really hard, is this the right path? And I'm still not sure if it's 100% the right path. You know, I want to make sure that this works, and really for me it's all about getting people into housing. It's getting people off the street and the services they need to improve their lives and set them up for success. It's to set the folks up that have accepted shelter and are in our shelters for success. And sometimes there's a lot of reasons why people are in that position in the first place, and the last thing I want to see is them going to jail. You know, we need to be prioritizing services, and I think through this effort, we are prioritizing services. Even with the notices, we have like a 2-week notice before we even remove an encampment. But the thing is, you have to look at the neighborhoods that these places are impacting, and it's not okay. No. You know, we have homes, we have businesses that are being you know, having to deal with these issues, and it's not everybody in the encampment. So I don't want to say everybody.
No, it's not.
In these, there's a few folks in there that caused a lot of mayhem, but you know, when I have mothers come up to me because someone has been doing things in their window that are, yes. And you know that they walk across the street back to this encampment. Like, yeah. I could not reconcile that in my mind as being okay, and so. that's why I think it's important that we continue as a city to try and get these folks into services. And I'll talk a very, very specific site on Hosmer Street.
Yes. The Hosmer Hotel Street. Yes.
So, that's a very distressed neighborhood already, and to have that encampment and the negative activities that happen around it does not make the situation any better. But, in December, the last count we had, where there was over 40 individuals at that particular encampment. But the city has gone in with the HEAL team and other groups to reduce that number, and so over 20 of them have accepted services, which is a very large amount.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. That's nearly 50%, and the normal uptake is in the low teens.
Yes.
And so to have that level of engagement to try and get the folks they need, but at some point, those businesses and the families and everybody else that are down there are still affected on the existing encampment. And the area becomes unsafe and unsanitary. It's right up next to the road, and there's people speeding there all the time. We've had multiple fires, and last year we did have 2 individuals get run over by a vehicle. So, it's not safe for those that are camping there. It's not safe for the neighborhood, and so it does require that removal process.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes it a little bit extra tricky is because it's right next to WashDOT property, because it's right next to the
Yes.
freeway. And so we have to partner with the state in order to get the folks there, the services they need, and it transition into housing.
Wow, boy, at nighttime when you close your eyes and you're quieting down your brain, Joe, because you've got a million tentacles going different ways, what is it that you think is causing our crime rates to go up right now? Because many people want to say, well, it's the unhoused fault. But 17 and 14-year-olds, I'm citing a homicide that happened last week here in Tacoma, don't live in tents in Hosmer. We had the mayor's moment on Thursday where she talked about guns. Could you relay that message for us?
Yeah, the level of gun violence that's happening in the community and across this country is completely unacceptable. I spent over a decade in the Marine Corps, and I have weapons myself, but there was a really startling statistic that the police put out the other day that every 48 hours, every 2 days, a gun is stolen out of a vehicle here in Tacoma. And, those guns are either being sold or transferred or somehow being given to youth, and our children are shooting at each other, and along with the thefts of the Kias and the Hyundais because of the lax safety measures that they have in those vehicles, it's a recipe for disaster. I think during this last budget cycle, we increased the amount of funding to reduce youth violence within our community. So I'm glad we've made that investment, but I think there's additional things we need to do.
Yeah.
I recently went to Stafford Elementary School to talk with the kids out there and present awards and stuff like that. I really think it's important for us in leadership to be out in the community and talking with our young people. And I know the rest of the council, I don't want to speak for them, but I know the rest of the council feels the same way. And it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing more of them out in the community with our youth. But the level of gun violence, like if you have a weapon, you secure that. It needs to be locked and not left in your car. Whether whatever your intent is, like with your weapon, like it's safe gun. We talk about responsible gun owners. That's what it means to be a responsible.
It does, absolutely. So let's parlay that into what I saw Thursday night, Resolution 41133. Can you, in these last 4 minutes, tell us what the resolution states and what was the outcome?
Yeah, so the resolution is about the council's stance on the ongoing legislation conversations happening in Olympia regarding drug possession. And it is our intent to get folks into services. And there's some nuance there on how that happens. We are pretty lockstep in not wanting to see this be a felony.
Why? What would happen?
Yeah, so what happens when someone has a felony on their record, it makes it extremely difficult to find employment. It makes it extremely difficult to get back into society and do these things.
Rent an apartment.
Rent an apartment. I know folks that want to drop the hammer on individuals, but for simple drug possession, I think that's completely It's too much.
I agree.
And if we want to see more people on the streets, that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
If because you're not able to find a job, you're not able to get housing, and so really it's about getting folks into treatment. And there is an opportunity, I think, within our court system to get that treatment through misdemeanors or gross misdemeanors. And I really like the opportunity for folks to expunge that portion of their record once they complete the rehab or whatever they're in.
Which is that's what you and the council passed was if you are pulled over or if you are caught with drugs in your possession, you are now going to have, hopefully as soon as we can get this up and running and have the services we need, you are going to have a chance to go through rehab and then not have your jail sentence if you complete rehab. I think that is a way to put air beneath people's wings in a community. That is growing somebody. That is knowing that we are all better than our worst day. Because as you said, boy, there's a pipeline that goes right to the street where you are starving, hungry, cold, and you are on your last leg. If jail was the first thing that we offered, but instead we're offering rehab. When do we think this will be up and affected in Tacoma?
It's my understanding that through the judges, they had spoke that they actually are starting therapeutic courts, and they could take up to 40 individuals. I believe that there's 5 in there now.
Okay.
So we're already starting to move in that direction, but certainly it would help through this legislation if the state would help fund these things, because we are limited in resources at the city and help those individuals and get the funding we need. We also, I think, need to continue to build out our substance abuse and mental health infrastructure within the city, and not just the city itself, but regionally as a county as well. So I know that there's conversations that are happening at the county as well.
Well, I know that you have your eyes on wraparound services and you have your eyes peeled to your district, but you're also so good at looking at the whole city at large. Thank you so much for taking this on, for staying true to yourself amidst all of this turmoil, and most of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on again.
You're welcome. That was going to happen again real soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
When we come back from a little bit of musical chairs, we'll have Tacoma City Ballet in the house to talk about Carmina Burana. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.